Hi, fourth graders. I want to keep going with The King is Equal. I think I can get quite a few chapters read this afternoon. Alrighty? The King is Equal by Katherine Paterson, Chapter 3. At that same time, in a faraway corner of the realm, there lived a poor farmer. His wife had died, leaving behind an only daughter, Rosamond, for that was the daughter's name. She was cheerful and industrious and kind, and the farmer loved her more than his own life. When the old king died and Raphael began to rule, the farmer realized that what few things he had would be soon taken by the greedy prince. The farmer had only one nanny goat, but that spring she had twin kids. So the farmer gathered all the bread he had in the house and told Rosamond to take the goats and go to the pasture far away to the mountains. Rosamond did not want to leave her father. "Please come with me," she begged him. "I must stay," he said, "and try to harvest our grain. There is a chance that Raphael's agents will not find our tiny farm in this faraway corner of the realm." "Then let me stay," Rosamond begged. "Isn't it better to share hunger with one you love than to feast alone?" "No, my child," he said. "You must go, for I promised your dying mother to take care of you. If the agents should come, at least you and the goats will be saved." With a heavy heart, Rosamond left her father and took the goats to the mountain pasture. At first she was sick with loneliness, but it was not in Rosamond's nature to give in to despair. As the days went by, she began to make a cheerful home for herself and the goats in the old goat herd's shack. The mountains were beautiful in the summer. She loved to frolic in the meadow with the goats, and often she would sing to them. There was plenty of sweet grass for the goats to eat. There were roots and berries and wild grain. Rosamond drank the milk of the nanny goat and made cheese and bread. However, winter comes early in the mountains. With the first snows, food became scarce. But that soon ran out, so the girl shared her tiny store of grain with her animals. Still, as the nanny had less to eat, she had less milk to give. One day, as the goats were rooting about in the snow, hoping to find something to fill their empty bellies, and Rosamond was shivering inside the shack, trying to decide whether or not to use the last of her store of grain to make bread, she heard a shriek of fear. Rosamond grabbed her staff and dashed outside. The nanny goat was bleating in alarm, for there in the snow stood a giant wolf with one of her babies in his powerful jaws. "How dare you attack my friend?" Rosamond cried. Well, the wolf let go of the kid as gently as a mother cat drops a kitten, and he looked up at Rosamond with such sad and hungry eyes that she could only feel sorry for him. "Poor thing," she said, "come into the shack with us. Isn't it better for us to share the last that we have and die as friends than to tear each other apart and die as enemies?" "You are a kind girl," the wolf said, his voice rumbling like distant thunder. "And I promise you that your kindness will not go unrewarded." "Who are you?" Rosamond asked, for she had never met a wolf who could speak. "I am the wolf," he answered, "and I will prove myself your friend." Rosamond, the goats, and the wolf went into the shack, where Rosamond took the last of the grain and divided it. She gave a portion to each of the goats, and the last two portions she ground into flour, with which she made a little loaf of bread. This she broke in half and shared with the wolf. "Now I will sing all the songs I know," she said. "Isn't it better for us to end our lives with a song on our lips than to die in sorrow?" "You are a wise girl," the wolf said. "Such wisdom will not go unrewarded." Later that night, one of the kids bleated with hunger. "I'm sorry, little friend," Rosamond said, "but the grain jar is empty. I have nothing more to give you." "Are you sure?" asked the wolf. To show him, Rosamond raised the lid of the jar. There she saw a handful of grain. How could it be, she wondered, but gratefully she divided the grain into portions as before. From that time on, each time she thought the jar had been emptied, the wolf asked, "Are you sure?" And each time Rosamond raised the lid, there was a handful of grain to be divided among the friends. In this way they lived happily together for many weeks. Still, Rosamond worried about her father and wondered if he was well. "Why do you look so sad, my friend?" the wolf asked her one night. "I am anxious about my father," Rosamond said. "Your father is well," said the wolf. And because Rosamond knew that he was not an ordinary wolf, she believed what he said and was comforted. "I am also anxious for my country," she said. "It is ruled by a greedy and arrogant prince who cares nothing for the welfare of the people." "Ah," said the wolf, "that is the kingdom that has searched in vain for a young woman of wealth and intelligence and beauty. If such a one were to appear, the country might be saved." He turned his great, solemn eyes on Rosamond. "Would you like to help your people?" the wolf asked. "Oh, if only I could," Rosamond answered. "But as you can see, I am neither very beautiful nor very clever, and I am so poor I would have starved and my goats with me if you had not come to our aid." "Look at my neck," the wolf said. Rosamond looked, and for the first time she noticed that the wolf wore around his furry neck a thin circlet of gold. "Take my collar and put it upon your head," the wolf said, "and go down to the capital city. You will find there a wise counselor who serves the prince. Tell him that you are the princess he has been searching for." Rosamond laughed out loud. "I am no princess. You of all creatures should know that." But the wolf did not laugh. On the night that you were born, your mother lay dying. With her last words, she gave you a blessing. She said that you were to be a king's equal." Rosamond grew solemn. The idea of going to the capital and making such an extravagant claim frightened her. But she thought of her dead mother and her loving father and all the people who were suffering, and she determined to make the journey. She took the wolf's circlet of gold from around his neck and placed it upon her head. Suddenly, the tiny shack was filled with light. "Is it magic?" she asked. "The circlet of a friend is always magic," the wolf answered. "Now go," he said. "I will never forget you," Rosamond said. "Nor I you," replied the wolf. "Yet, when you go into the world of people, do not say that you have met me. They will not understand our friendship." Thus it was that Rosamond kissed the goats, bowed solemnly to her friend the wolf, and made her way down the Winter Mountain to the capital. The end of chapter 3.